Hello everyone, I am Elisan and today I am going to discuss to you a very interesting topic, which is the economic geography. What comes in your mind first when you hear the word economic geography? To start, let me introduce first what is economic geography. Economic geography examines how people earn a living, studying spatial variations in the production, exchange, and consumption of goods and services. While unable to comprehend the economic pursuits of 7 billion individuals, economic geographers seek consistencies, developing generalizations to understand complex patterns. The field reveals the dynamic, interlocking diversity of human activities and the impact of economic activity on all facets of human life and culture. It also highlights the increasing interdependence of different national and regional economic systems, illustrating how events like the potato blight or changes in the US economy can have global repercussions. The key concepts or objectives that we're going to discuss today is first, how productive activities and economies are classified. Second, the types and prospects of subsistence agriculture, commercial agriculture, technological change, geographic patterns, and concerns. In economic geography, there are four categories of activities. First is primary activity. It involves activities that directly extract or harvest raw materials from the natural environment. For example, the agriculture or farming, forestry, fishing, mining, and hunting. Second activity is the secondary activity. It encompasses activities that transform raw materials into finished products, adding value in the process. For example, the manufacturing industries such as automobile production, steel making, food processing, and textile manufacturing. Third is the tertiary activity. It involves providing services to individuals, businesses, and other sectors, acts as a bridge between producers and consumers. For example, retail and wholesale trade, healthcare, education, financial services, real estate, and entertainment. The last one is quaternary activity, a specialized subset of the service sector focusing on research, information, and administration. For example, research and development, information technology, data analysis, and administrative services. In summary, these economic activities provide a simple yet effective way to analyze and understand the diverse range of activities contributing to an economy, from the extraction of raw materials to the provision of services and information. Aside from the four categories of activity, there are also three types of economic systems. First is the subsistence economy. Goods and services are produced for personal use within the producer's community or family. Little exchange occurs and markets are limited. For example, a farmer in India grows rice and vegetables for family consumption but also sells some produce to buy other necessities. The second one is the commercial or market economy. Dominant in most parts of the world, producers freely market goods and services. Prices are determined by supply and demand, and market competition shapes production decisions. For example, the United States has a market economy, but with some government controls and subsidies affecting certain goods and services. The last one is the planned economy, associated with communist societies where the government controls both supply and price. Production decisions are centrally planned. For example, is the former Soviet Union had a planned economy. Rigidly planned economies, with few exceptions like Cuba and North Korea, have largely transformed into market-oriented structures, shedding their classical forms. Even in societies where central planning once prevailed, such as the former Soviet Union and its satellites, the physical structures and production patterns imposed by these systems continue to influence economic decisions. The reality is that individuals often participate in multiple economic systems simultaneously. For instance, a farmer in India may engage in both subsistence farming for family consumption and commercial activities, selling surplus produce or handicrafts. In developed countries like the United States, government controls and subsidies mean that a purely free market economy is rare, as certain goods and services face regulations. Moreover, transportation plays a crucial role in economic development, as illustrated by the isolation of subsistence societies from global trade routes, hindering their progression to advanced economic structures. The dynamics of economic systems and activities are subject to change, with Western European economies undergoing restructuring due to increased competition and supranational regulations, and regions like Latin America, Africa, Asia, and the Middle East benefiting from technology, transfer, and globalization. The transformative impact of China's economic growth exemplifies how economic globalization reshapes global production and power balances, emphasizing the variable outcomes of capitalism's creative destruction. In summary, humankind's fundamental economic concern revolves around the production or acquisition of sufficient food resources to meet daily energy and nutritional needs. Initially, the majority of the global population depended on primary activities such as agriculture, hunting, fishing, and forestry. Despite the world's population tripling since 1950, the number of undernourished people has decreased, yet around 11% of the population still lacks adequate food and nutrients. This contradiction arises from the factors like income inequalities, limited access to resources, climatic conditions, and inadequate infrastructure. Agriculture, particularly crop farming and livestock management, has replaced hunting and gathering, covering over one-third of the world's land area, while employment in agriculture is declining in developed economies. It remains a significant component in developing countries, contributing to domestic markets and national income through exports. The classification of agricultural societies spans subsistence, traditional, and advanced stages, reflecting variations in off farm sales, mechanization, and technological advancement along a continuum. The rise of organic agriculture and local food movements in advanced industrial countries further adds complexity to the contrast between subsistence and advanced agriculture. The geography of agriculture is explored by examining both ends of this agricultural continuum. A subsistence economic system is characterized by near total self-sufficiency among its members, with minimal productions for exchange and any trade is non-commercial. Families or close-knit social groups rely on themselves for essential needs, making farming for immediate family consumption the predominant occupation globally. In regions like Africa, South and East Asia, and much of Latin America, a significant portion of the population is primarily focused on sustaining themselves through agriculture. Subsistence agriculture can be broadly classified into two types: the extensive and the intensive. First is the extensive subsistence agriculture. It covers large land areas with minimal labor input per hectare, resulting in low production per land unit and low population densities. On the other hand, intensive subsistence agriculture involves cultivating small land holdings with significant labor input, leading to high yields per unit area and higher population densities. These contrasting agricultural practices illustrate the varying approaches to meeting basic survival needs in the different parts of the world. Extensive subsistence agriculture encompasses various practices, two of which are nomadic herding and shifting cultivation. First one is the nomadic herding, involves the controlled movement of livestock for consumption by the herder group, with animals providing various products crucial for subsistence. However, this economic system is in decline due to modern challenges such as controlled international borders and private land ownership. The second one is the shifting cultivation. Prevalent in warm, moist tropical areas is a form of nomadic farming where farmers rotate fields instead of crops to maintain soil productivity. This system, also known as Sweden or slash and burn, involves clearing vegetation, burning cuttings for nutrients, and cultivating crops like corn, rice, and sugarcane. Although less than 3% of the world's population is engaged in tropical shifting cultivation, its importance lies in its efficiency as a cultural adaptation where land is abundant relative to the population. However, as population density increases, the system becomes less viable, leading to the transition from extensive to intensive subsistence agriculture to meet the growing demand of food production. The second is intensive subsistence agriculture, particularly prominent in densely populated regions of Asia, involves a combination of subsistence and commercial practices. While families may still primarily rely on their individual plots for sustenance, the exchange of farm commodities within the system is significant. In major river valleys like the Ganges and the Changjiang, as well as smaller valleys near coast with the fertile alluvial soils, intensive subsistence farmers cultivate crops such as rice, wheat, millet, and pulses. Rice, a staple in Asia, is grown in wet lowland areas, providing a substantial portion of the daily diet for about half of the world's population. Successful cultivation requires meticulous water management, shaping the landscape with permanently diked fields, canals, and drainage channels. Intensive subsistence farming involves large labor inputs, small plots, the use of fertilizers, and the cultivation of vegetables and livestock. The role of religion is also evident, with dietary restrictions influencing the types of animals raised, such as the absence of pork in Muslim areas. The large number of cattle in India is crucial for labor, as a source of milk and cheese, and as producers of fertilizer and fuel through excrement. The next one is urban agriculture. It is a rapidly growing phenomenon with around 800 million city farmers globally, prevalent particularly in Asia. This practice involves various activities, from small garden plots to backyard, livestock breeding and fish farming in ponds and streams, taking place in unexpected urban spaces like rooftops, garbage dumps, and road strips. Cities such as Jakarta, Mexico City, and Kolkata showcase millions of people producing vegetables, fruits, fish, and meat locally, addressing food needs without the expenses of storage or long-distance transportation. Urban food production in the developing world has played a crucial role in reducing malnutrition and providing meaningful employment for underemployed residents. However, there are environmental consequences, both positive and negative, associated with urban agriculture. On the positive side, it converts waste into a source, while negative aspects include the use of untreated human waste as fertilizer, posing health risks for both producers and consumers, such as the potential spread of the infectious diseases like cholera and hepatitis. In response to ongoing population pressures, there are two main strategies to enhance the global food supply: expanding the land area under cultivation and increasing crop yields from existing farmlands. The first approach, expanding cropland area, faces significant challenges. About 70% of the world's land is unsuitable for agriculture due to factors like extreme cold, dryness, steep terrain, or complete infertility. The remaining 30%, which is well suited for farming, is also largely under cultivation, and millions of hectares are lost annually due to soil erosion, salinization, desertification, and conversion to urban, industrial, or transportation uses. Only the rainforest of Africa and the Amazon basin retain sizable areas of potentially farmable land, but their fragile soils are prone to erosion and nutrient loss. Land conversion, especially in tropical regions, often leads to severe environmental deterioration, exemplified by the rapid transformation of dense woodlands into barren desolation in places like the Philippines, the Amazon basin, and Indonesia. This demonstrates that, by most measures, expanding cultivated areas is not a sustainable strategy for significantly increasing world food output. In recent decades, the key to increasing global agricultural production has been the intensification of existing cropland rather than expanding cultivated areas. Between 1960 and 2009, world grain yields rose by nearly 140%, with the majority of this growth attributed to increased yields rather than expanded cropland. The Green Revolution is played a crucial role in this intensification, introducing high-yielding varieties of crops, particularly in Asia and South America. However, the success of the Green Revolution has come at cost, leading to environmental issues such as land destruction, soil salinity, and groundwater depletion. The adoption of new plant varieties and intensive farming practices has resulted in a high-input, high-yield agriculture, benefiting some but leaving marginalized farmers behind. While the Green Revolution has helped alleviate food shortage, concerns arise about its negative environmental and social consequences, including the loss of traditional agriculture, disruption of rural societies, and genetic consequences. Despite challenges and falling productivity gains in some regions, newer technologies such as biotechnology, including genetically modified or GM crops, are being adopted globally, raising concerns about the genetic diversity of our food supply. Conservation efforts like seed banks are being established to preserve genetic diversity for future plant breeding and to mitigate the risks associated with the climate change and pests. In the modern era, the influence of commercial agriculture has transformed traditional subsistence economies into more complex systems integrated into the global market. Unlike subsistence farming, where production is primarily for personal sustenance, commercial agriculture involves farmers who produce goods primarily for the market. These farmers are part of larger exchange economies that include mining, manufacturing, processing, and service activities. In commercial agriculture, production is responsive to market demand and influenced by price signals, aligning with the consumption needs of the broader society rather than the immediate needs of the farmers themselves. This shift reflects a departure from isolated, self-sufficient practices to a more interconnected and market-oriented approach. Modern agriculture, characterized by specialization, market orientation, and global interdependence, operates within a framework influenced by both free market forces and government interventions. In a free market, farmers produce crops based on their estimates of market prices and production costs. However, government policies such as price controls or subsidies can distort market equilibrium. To minimize uncertainties, especially for specialized crops, contractual arrangements and vertical integration have become prevalent, with farmers entering agreements with purchasers, processors to ensure stable markets and prices. Contract farming is expanding globally, linking small farmers and advanced resources and markets, yet even family farmers not under contractual arrangements are influenced by non-market governmental interventions, including subsidies, price supports, and acreage controls, which can shape production patterns. The delicate balance between market forces and government interventions plays a crucial role in shaping the landscape of modern agriculture. In the early 19th century, Johann Heinrich von Thunen observed distinct concentric rings of land use around urban areas, developing the von Thunen model to explain the spatial organization of agricultural activities. Closest to the city, high-value, perishable commodities were cultivated due to their high transport costs. As distance from the market increased, less perishable crops with lower production and transport costs were grown. The model highlights the trade-off between transportation costs and land rent, resulting in concentric zones of land use. The von Thunen model's validity is evident in the changing crop patterns and farm sizes observed at increasing distance from the major cities, providing insights into the historical settlement of regions and the growth of urban markets. In modern contexts, factors like urban expansion and suburban development may alter the traditional rings, but the fundamental connection between city and countryside remains integral to the understanding rural land values and land uses. After World War II, developed world agriculture shifted toward concentrated methods of large-scale production in a bid to maximize efficiency and productivity for off-farm sales. This marked a transition from partial self-sufficiency to a complete commitment to the commercial exchange economy. The reorientation led to the abandonment of many inefficient small farms, with consolidation resulting in larger, more specialized operations. The number of U.S. farms decreased significantly, and the remaining farms embraced specialization to maximize returns on capital investment. Intensive commercial agriculture emerged as a term specifically referring to the production of crops yielding high market value per unit of land, including perishable products like fruits, vegetables, and dairy. Differentiations exist between horticultural or market garden, farms near cities, feed grain and livestock farming, and concentrated animal feeding operations or livestock factory farms that dominate meat, dairy, and egg production through large scale industrialized rearing. While concerns about environmental impact persist, these operations now supply the majority of supermarket meat and dairy products. The next one is extensive commercial agriculture. Is characterized by large farms located farther from markets, where land is less expensive and lower profits per unit of land result in larger farm units. This form of agriculture is exemplified by large weight farms and livestock ranching. Large-scale weight farming, found in regions like the Dakotas, Kansas, and parts of Canada, involves significant capital inputs of machinery, but the inputs per unit of land are low. Livestock ranching, primarily confined to areas of European settlement, operates in regions with semi-arid climates such as the western United States, parts of South America, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. In ranching, young cattle or sheep graze over vast areas, and the livestock are often sent to feed grain farms or feedlots for accelerated fattening. These regions have low population densities, low capital investment per land unit, and relatively low labor requirements due to the limited alternative land uses and low land quality. Special crops are cultivated in agriculturally intensive regions, often due to unique physical geography. First is Mediterranean agriculture, found in the Mediterranean basin, focuses on high-value crops like grapes, olives, oranges, and vegetables that require warm temperatures and ample sunshine. The predictable climate and precipitation pattern of Mediterranean climates facilitate controlled water use, although significant capital is invested in irrigation systems. These crops are mainly destined for export. The second one is the plantation agriculture. Another specialized form involves foreign investment, management, and marketing in indigenous cultures. utilizing non-native labor to introduce crops for foreign markets. Plantations, often established in tropical regions, historically produced crops like coffee, sugar, rubber, and cacao for export. The term plantation persists even when local producers dominate. Plantation crops are strategically cultivated along coasts for easy shipping access, contributing to their role as major export commodities. Sustainable agriculture, in response to the negative impacts of large scale industrialized farming, represents a diverse set of approaches aimed at fostering social, ecological, economic, and individual well being. The industrialization of agriculture has led to depopulation in rural areas, environmental degradation, and concerns about the quality of the food supply. Sustainable agriculture proponents advocate for local knowledge, markets, and smaller, diversified farms, emphasizing traditional methods adapted to specific regions. Sustainable agriculture contrasts with monoculture and specialization. The movement aligns with growing consumer preferences for organic foods, farmers markets, and community supported agriculture, reflecting a broader trend toward local and sustainable food practices. While critics question whether sustainable agriculture can match the productivity of industrial methods, its focus on resilience, biodiversity, and local economies addresses the broader concerns associated with conventional farming. And that's all for today. I hope you learned the lessons that I have discussed earlier. Thank you and God bless.
So hello everyone, I'm Christine Joy V. Baño, first year Bachelor of Secondary Education major in Social Studies. And I'm the second presenter of Group 4. And today we are going to talk about the 8.3 Economic Geography, Primary Activities, Resource, and Exploitation. So resource terminology. Resources or natural resources are the naturally occurring materials that a society perceives to be useful to its economic and material well-being. So resources like minerals, metals, and timber are crucial for economic development and job creation. However, exploitation can lead to environmental degradation, social inequality, and conflicts over resource ownership. Balancing economic benefits with environmental sustainability and social justice is essential. So resources may be classified as renewable and non-renewable. Renewable sources are, according to Human Geography book, renewable sources are the materials or energy sources that are replenished by natural processes, the sun's energy, wind, water, food, crops, soils, forests, and other products, and also the marine resource like fish and seaweed obtained through ethical fishing methods and aquaculture techniques are a few examples of renewable resources. Um, Non-renewable resources are the finite amounts of the generated in nature so slowly that for all practical purposes their supply is finite. So the examples of these are the fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and more. So we are in the gathering industries, fishing, forestry. So fishing, the annual fish supply comes from the three resources. The inland catch comes from ponds, lakes, and rivers. Um, Fish farming or aquaculture, also known as aquaculture, in which are produced in a controlled and contained environment. And the marine catch, all wild fish harvested in coastal water. So as you can see at the table, um, this describes as officially recorded annual fish harvest from 1975 to 2015. 2014. The marine catch shows evidence of overfishing, while aquaculture continues its rapid growth. And as you can see at the picture, these are the examples of fishing, that is aquaculture. So, okay guys, let's move on to forestry. Forestry is the science of developing, caring for, or cultivating forests. So, bakit nga ba importante ang forestry? Forestry provides economic advantages like in tourism and timber production for the traditional customs and cultural legacy of the surroundings populations. These benefits are maintained while reducing negative effects on the environment and the community thanks to sustainable management techniques like selective logging, replanting, and restoration. So we are now here in the extractive industries, mining and quarrying. Metals, the production of most metallic minerals such as copper, lead, and iron ore. Metals, the production of most metallic minerals such as copper, lead, and iron ore is affected by a balance of three forces: the quantity available, the richness of the ore, and the distance to market. So according to this figure, the minimum metal content of copper ore for profitable mining in 1830, 3% copper ore in rock was needed to justify its mining today. Rock with 0.5% ore content is mined. As the supply of a metal decreases and its price increases, the concentration needed for economic recovery goes down. It also goes down as improved and more cost-effective technologies of rock mining and ore extraction come to play. Non-metallic minerals extracting non-metallic materials is the most important branch of the extractive industry, with minerals like sand, gravel, building stone, and cement used for construction. Transportation costs determine where low-value minerals are mined, and mined fertilizer minerals like potassium and phosphate move internationally. So the example of this is the fluorspar, mica, calcite, diamond, gypsum, quartz, and many more. So non-metallic minerals play a significant role in human geography for various reasons. First, they serve as construction materials such as limestone for cement production, sand and gravel for concrete and asphalt, which are essential for building infrastructure like roads and bridges. Secondly, some non-metallic minerals like gypsum and potash are crucial in agriculture as they improve soil drainage and structure and provide potassium to crops as a fertilizers. Thirdly, non-metallic minerals like coal and peat are vital sources of energy for electricity generation and heating purposes. Fourthly, non-metallic minerals such as talc, mica, and feldspar have industrial uses in the production of ceramic glass and paint. However, the extraction and use of these minerals can lead to environmental concerns such as land degradation, water pollution, and air pollution. Therefore, understanding the geography of non-metallic mineral resources is crucial for managing these impacts and promoting sustainable development. So fossil fuels, advanced economies control and use energy, enabling humans to perform tasks beyond their ancestors' capabilities. Fossil fuels are energy dense and energy can transform into low value raw materials into valuable commodities. This disparity between societies highlights the need for access to energy and the importance of renewable sources the importance of renewable sources like coal, oil, and natural gas. So, bakit nga ba importante ang fossil fuels? So, fossil fuels is essential in various reasons. First, because they serve as primary source of energy used to generate electricity, power vehicles, and fuel industries in many countries. Secondly, The availability and accessibility of fossil fuels have contributed significantly to economic development in countries like US, Saudi Arabia, and Russia due to revenue generated from extraction and sale. Thirdly, the global trade of fossil fuels has facilitated international trade and economic interdependence as some countries rely on imports while others export for economic gain. Fourthly, the extraction, transportation, and combustion of fossil fuels have significant environmental impacts such as air pollution, water pollution, and greenhouse gas emissions that contribute to climate change. Lastly, the geopolitical implications of fossil fuels are significant as many countries depend on them for economic and political stability, leading to geopolitical tensions and conflict throughout history. Overall, fu- fossil fuels play a crucial role in human geography due to their significance in energy production, economic development, globalization, environmental impact, and geopolitical implications. So today we are now in 8.4 Trade in Primary Products. Since World War II, international trade has grown significantly, with primary commodities contributing significantly. However, traditional trade flows have changed, leading to criticism of unequal distribution and damaged exporting companies. So, trade in primary products refers to the exchange of raw and processed commodities that are obtained directly from natural resources such as agricultural products, minerals, and forestry products. These goods are typically sold to other countries for further processing or manufacturing into finished goods. So now we are in 8.4 Trade in Primary Products. So, trade in primary products refers to the exchange of raw and processed commodities that are obtained directly from the natural resources such as agricultural products, minerals, and forestry products. These goods are typically sold to other countries for further processing or manufacturing into finished goods. Primary product trade is an essential part of many economies, particularly those with abundant natural resources, as it provides a source of income and employment opportunities. However, it can also be a subject to price volatility and fluctuations due to factors such as weather conditions, chain disruptions, and global demand. So, since World War II, international trade has grown significantly, with primary commodities contributing significantly. However, traditional trade flows have changed, leading to criticism of unequal distribution and or damage to exporting companies. Today we are now at Chapter 9, Economic Geography, Dynamic Patterns of the Global Economy. So 9.1, Components of the Space Economy. Human activity creates spatial patterns in the economic spheres, including industrial concentration, employment, and functional specialization. Primary industries are tied to natural resources, while secondary, tertiary, and quaternary stages are increasingly influenced by cultural and ecological consideration. And next slide. So, Figure 9.2 explains that the regulating mechanism. So, next slide. Figure 9.2 states that the regulating mechanism of the market may be visualized graphically. Supply, the blue one.
Demand, it is the red one.
Market equilibrium, which is kung asa sila nag-meet. The supply curves tells us the price of a commodity increases tumaas, more of it will be made available for sale. Considering any tendency for prices to rise to infinity is the market reality that the higher the price, the smaller the demand. So the higher the reality that the higher the price, the smaller the demand, as potential customers find other purchases or products more cost effective. So in B, the demand curve shows how the market will expand as prices are lowered and commodities are made more affordable, attractive to more customers. And C, the market equilibrium is marked by the point intersection of the supply and the demand curves and determines the price of commodities, the total demand, and the quantity bought and sold. So that's all. Next reporter, please.
Hello, I am Virgil Pepito, the last presenter, and now let's talk about economic geography, the secondary activities, manufacturing. Secondary activities involve transforming raw materials into usable products. Meaning ito yung paggamit ng mga raw material in primary activities and then manufacture it into products na ginagamit natin mga tao. Like for example, cotton. Process it into fabric production like clothes. In secondary activities, meron tayong tinatawag na industrialization, the application of power and specialized labor to the production of finished products in factory setting. Meaning, yung mga product na ginagawa ay doon sa mga pabrika, hindi by farming or hindi gamit ang mga sariling kamay. So, manufacturing naman is the assembling and processing multiple inputs and distributing the output to markets in diverse location. So, ang manufacturing is proseso ng paggawa ng mga produkto to the person or company na gumagawa ng mga binibentang produkto to sale or the manufacturers, they must consider cost, distance, and capital. So, for the example of cost is cost of raw materials, of wage costs, and fuel costs, or mga perang mailalabas nila para dito sa mga produktong ito. At distance to markets, kung gaano kalayo ang mga markets na dadalhan nila ng mga products. And also, the capital na available sa kumpanya nila or dito sa person na to. Because if you don't consider these things, then maaaring malulugi ka lang at wala rin mapupuntahan ang produkto or ang business na ginagawa mo. So meron tayong natawag na locational decisions in manufacturing. Locational decisions may require multiple spatial scales of analysis. So kung mag-start ka ng business, you need to consider yung location to operate at kung kailan ka need na i-expand yung operations. And when your current location proves unsatisfactory sa kung ano man ang rason. So, importante in manufacturing, finding an ideal geographical region to install facilities to avoid casualties. Principles of location. Certain input costs of manufacturing are spatially fixed costs, and the other input costs are spatially variable costs. So when we say spatially fixed cost, ang cost ng product ay hindi nababago despite kung saan located ang isang industry or kahit saan pa ang product inassemble. It will remain the same cost. Ang spatially variable cost naman ay ang factors ng production na magbabago depending sa location. Ang factors could be transportation, energy, labor. Ang mga ito ay nagdidepende sa weight losing or weight gaining industry. Fixed cost na representa ng minimum price na kailangan bayaran at any location for the necessary inputs ng production ng isang item. Like rent for office space, weekly payroll, equipment depreciation. So fixed na siya. While ang spatially variable cost ay yung dagdag ng cost because of delivery shipping, charges, sales commissions, advertising, and publicity, gano'n. So in manufacturing, there is raw materials, the input goods or inventory that the company needs to manufacture its products. Example is steel, oil, corn, grain, lumber, forest resources, plastic, natural gas, and minerals. Yun. Ang quality, amount, or pag-gather ng resource, maaaring locational determinant or factor that affects the location ng facilities ng business. If cost of raw material ay ang major variable cost and multiple sources sa primary material ay available. So, raw materials ay yung mga hindi pa na-process ng mga goods or mga primary activities. So, power supply, the heavy industries need power in abundance. These industries are generally localized near the areas where power is easily available, like the iron and steel industry, fertilizer, aluminium, copper melting, are power-intensive industries, and hence located near the sources of power. So, meaning industries rely as well on electrical power to manufacture their products, the raw materials to be a finished goods. Labor or wage earners. Labor cost is the total of wages, benefits, and payroll taxes paid to and for all employees. So, sa mga manufacturers ngayon, yung pinaka-importante yung consider nila is labor flexibility or employing highly educated workers able to apply themselves to a wide variety of tasks and functions. For some activities, a cheap labor supply is a necessity. Manufacturing of clothing na mababa lang yung halaga is an example sa industriya na kailangan ng maraming low-cost labor supply to be competitive. Kailangan in manufacturing yung mga tao na magtatrabaho. So kung magtatayo ka ng industriya o project, make sure that that region or country ay may mga workers na posible magtrabaho. So for example is, meron kang economic plans, but then, yung place is lack sufficient workers at hindi sila attracted sa pagtatrabaho. So, wala rin nangyayari. Market. Goods are produced to supply a market demand. So, we are producing a certain product because kailangan siya at demand siya sa market or ng mga tao. The size, nature, and distribution of markets may be as important in industrial location decisions as raw material, energy, labor, or other inputs. Kapag ang mga singil sa transportasyon para sa pagpapadala ng mga natapos na produkto sa market ay medyo mataas na proporsyon ng kabuuang halaga ng produkto, so ang atraksyon ng location malapit sa consumer ay halata naman magre-resulta ng market orientation. So, market orientation means yung strategic na perspective, decision-making perspective sa marketing. So, example, location near the next stage of production is an obvious advantage. This advantage is increased if the final stage of production is also near the ultimate consumer market. So, pag meron tayong produkto na ginagawa, tapos mas malapit siya doon sa susunod na step, at yung final stage ng production is malapit lang sa consumer na market, so mas advantage siya dahil mababa lang yung cost ng transportation at mas madaling maabot sa market. So, transportation modes. So, location industry is inseparably tied to transportation system. So, connected pa rin siya sa location industry. There are several modes of transportation, the water transportation, railroads, highway trucking, pipelines, airways. So, ang water transportation, the cheapest means of long-distance freight movement. So, like sa water transportation is yung mga cargo, yung mga ship. So, very efficient ang water transportation para sa mga product from other country papunta sa other country like sa America, then papunta dito sa atin, sa Philippines. Second is ang railroads. Efficiently move large volumes of freight over long distance at low fuel and labor cost. So, efficient din tong railroads para sa mga large na mga volumes of products sa mga long distance at konti lang ang mga gamit na fuel at labor costs. An example ng railroads is yung train. So highway trucking provides great flexibility of service and are more quickly responsive than railroads or waterways to new traffic demands and changing origin and destination points. So mas madali lang siya mapunta sa destination ng product. Next is pipelines. Pipelines provide fast, efficient, and dependable transportation for varieties of liquid and gases. So this is importante siya for use sa transported commodity like fertilizer plants, oil, refineries, mga ganun siya. And lastly is airways, vital for the movement of skilled workers, consultants, and decision makers, and increases the attractiveness of airport sites. So airways then, like airplanes, ganun, na mga way of transportation. Basically is efficient siya para sa mga taong transportation, pero sa mga products is hindi siya masyadong efficient as well kasi very small lang yung mga aeroplano, right? So, hindi siya masyadong mag-occupy ng malalaking mga products. So, as you can see sa picture on the left side, trucks are more efficient at mas cheap siya over short hauls. While railroad, may advantage siya for intermediate hauls. And water, or like ship or barge movement over long distance, railroad and water shipments required much less energy and basically, yes, mas cheap na yung trucks, pero railroads and water shipments are more environmental friendly siya since fewer greenhouse gas emissions lang ang less siya, no? And the picture on the right side is an example of cargo containers in docks in Shanghai, China. So in 2010, China exported malaking worth of goods around 1.6 trillion in the world economy. So East Coast theory, the Alfred Pepper, also known as Reverian analysis. According to him, there are three factors that influence industrial location. One is transportation. He believes na yung transportation costs ay dapat palagi mababa as possible. Second is labor. The lower the labor cost is, mas better on his perspective. Then next is agglomeration. meaning concentration of business in one particular area or similar businesses. So example is in marketplace, kung saan puno ng mga cellular phone na bibenta doon. So kung bibenta ka rin ng phone or kahit anong related on that goods, then advantage yun sa'yo dahil marami kang or madaling mapupuntahan if may trouble regarding sa material. So that is agglomeration. So however, the factory should be located malapit sa raw materials than sa market because transporting finished product will be easier than transporting raw materials. So may terms siya, which is ang bulk gaining and bulk reducing. Bulk gaining is become heavier after manufacturing, while bulk reducing is become lighter after manufacturing. So three models yan siya, which is ang first is no gain or loss of bulk, meaning the product is closer or in the middle of the market and also to the supply 1 and 2. The second is bulk gain product, which is the product is closer to the market and malayo-layo siya sa supply number 1 and 2. And then sa bulk producing product is the product is closer to the supply and malayo siya sa market. So the sample photo is a bulk gain product, closer siya sa market than to the supply 1 and 2. So there is political consideration since there are political factors that affect businesses. When manufacturing, kailangan mong magbayad ng tax sa government, then employment laws and political stability, they can impact a business positively or negatively by influencing how companies operate. Next, the agglomeration economies. Some benefit of agglomeration economies come from linkages among firms and savings from shared transports facilities, worker training programs, social services, and forms of industrial infrastructure. Through multiplier effect, each new firm added to the agglomeration will lead to the further development of infrastructure and linkage. So, agglomeration economies are a form of external economies which is of scale happen externally, not inside the organization, but within the industry pa rin naman siya. So, agglomeration is also when the businesses is different or in different industries are beneficial to each other and can share resources and opportunities. So, through multiplier effect, each new firm added to the agglomeration will lead to the further development of infrastructure and linkage. Okay, so next is just-in-time and flexible production. Just-in-time (JIT) inventory system is a management strategy that aligns raw materials orders from suppliers directly with production schedules. So there is what we call 4DSEM, term used to describe the system of mass production that was pioneered in the early 20th century by the Ford Motor Company. So basically, it was a Ford Motor Company for DSEM. It was a term used to describe the system of mass production. So while ang flexible production, uh, flexible manufacturing system, FMS, is designed to easily adapt to changes in the product being made and its quality. So flexible siya, changes sa product. Next is the comparative advantage. It is an economy's ability to produce a particular good or service at a lower opportunity cost than its trading partner. So, example is, kung isa man sa ay bihasas paggawa ng parehong keso at tsokolate, maaari nilang matukoy kung gaano karaming paggawa ang mapupunta sa paggawa ng bawat produkto. So, lower opportunity cost than its trading partners. Outsourcing is the delegating business process to another company or independent contract, usually undertaken by companies as a cost-cutting measure. Ito ay ang isang practice ng pagkuha or hire ng isang third party, company or individual para magsagawa ng isang task or magserbisyo instead na ikaw mismo ang gumagawa ng trabaho. That is outsourcing. While ang offshoring naman involves running a portion of business operations in another country. Example, a specific company maaaring mag-decide to offshore its customer support team sa location in India kung saan ang cost of labor is mas mababa kaysa sa home country ng company. So, transnational corporation, TNCs, businesses that have a global reach, they are companies that operate in more than one country. So, they aim to maximize profits and lower costs. Responsible sila sa 80% ng global trade according to studiesmarker.co. Foreign direct investment or FDI naman is substantial, lasting investments made by a company or government into a foreign concern. So mga foreign concern siya ng investments. In high-tech technological manufacturing, it focuses on products comprising of advanced technologies including circuits boards, semiconductors, fiber, optic cables, capacitors, and more. So we are very high in technology right now, no? It continues to grow with increasing demand for modern products. Several other countries and cities have created successful tech and digital manufacturing hubs, as you can see on the map, like in South Korea and United States, than other countries. The next activities is the third one, the tertiary, known as the service sector. This is the third of the three economic sectors in the three-sector model. So, ang sector na ito ay binubuo ng pagbibigay ng mga serbisyo, services, imbes na mga finished products. Types of tertiary activities o service activities ay ang consumer services at producer services. So, ang consumer services aim is to meet the needs and expectation sa consumer. It is an activities that solve people's everyday needs like in food, health. For example are tourism, gambling, restaurants, hotels, bars, maintenance service, education, healthcare, as well as yung mga call centers. They aid to the customer services. So basically, in tourism, example of customer service, is a travel undertaken for purposes of recreation rather than businesses. Ito ang pinaka-importanting single tertiary sector activity at ang pinakamalaking private industry in jobs sa buong mundo. So, ang isang example din na nabanggit ko kanina ay ang gambling. It is a fast-growing industry dahilan upang magkaroon ng napakaraming turista, specifically sa United States. So, isa siyang sugal, no, na mas mataas pa ang porsyento nito or porsyento ng income nito kaysa sa professional sports or like mga museums. So, producer services on the other hand is yung mga ginagamit sa businesses to produce goods or other services like finance, insurance, real estate, engineering, legal services, accounting, architecture. Yun ang mga example ng producer services. So next, the locational interdependence theory for services. Hotteling's theory of locational interdependence states that an industry will locate based on where their competition locates. So basically, kung asan yung kakompetensya ng isang industry is dun din yung isang industry. So the services in world trade. Services trade ranging from communications to transport, finance, education, tourism, and environmental services. The services sector has become the backbone of the global economy and the most dynamic components of international trade. So overall, the expectation on all of the topic is that the impact on this to the country is to have a good development. So these things will lead to strong relationships to the country, and that those sectors, activities help on shaping our economy and as human as a whole.